Chapter 17. Meeting with Daggerel. In a vast room, which was used as a meeting room by the giant King Daggerel, the preparations for the upcoming meeting between Demon Lord Rimuru and Daggerel came to an end. Daggerel and Glassert were already seated around the big table in the middle of the room, and were waiting for their guests to arrive. Daggerel was calm and silent, but Glassert on the other hand was nervously thinking about the outcome of this meeting. Why would they want to have a meeting? Big Brother didn't say anything. I would understand if it would be just Demon Lord Rimuru, but 2 Demon Lords, 1 Primordial Demon, and to top that of a true dragon. That's just unnerving. Is it because of our recent quarrel with the vampires? But Guy Crimson said he wouldn't care about our conflict. It just doesn't make any sense. And why are they so late? Brother, aren't they a bit too late? Glassert asked Daggerel, who still had his eyes closed as if he was meditating. They're not late, they just give us time to properly prepare for their arrival and get ourselves ready. I would rather say they could be considered generous for not suddenly barging in, considering who we are waiting it wouldn't be impossible. Daggerel calmly answered his brother, without opening his eyes. Is Demon Lord Rimuru that kind of person to do such a thing? Glassert asked. I don't know anything about that Rimuru, but I'm speaking about Velgrin the Scorched Dragon. Veldora told me tales about her and her character. According to him, she is a devil incarnated and kills him over and over again. I wouldn't have expected from her to patiently wait, but rather storm in, if what Veldora said is true. Glassert's jaw dropped at this info. And here I thought the Storm Dragon was the most violent one out of them. Poor Veldora. Glassert uttered, with a hint of pity for the Storm Dragon. Suddenly, the guard barged in, out of breath and with a panicked expression. He tried to say something, but couldn't catch his breath. After 1 minute, he was finally able to state the reason he was there. Daggerel, asked Sama. We have an emergency. The VV Violet P Primordial. But before he could finish his sentence, he could feel a small hand on his shoulder. When he turned back to see who it was, he was petrified at the sight in front of him. He was faced with Ultima, who was smiling menacingly, releasing a terrifying aura, which only added to the miserable situation the guard was in. Hey, you know it's rude to run away and leave us standing, right? And if it's my lord you're running away from, it could be even considered a sin. We had to find the way here all by ourselves. The more she spoke, the tighter her grip around the shoulder of the guard grew, nearly crushing it completely. Ultima, that's enough. You'll scare him to death. Rimuru finally decided to speak up. He was already used to this kind of antiques of the primordial demons. As you wish, my lord, Ultima said, and let go of the guard. As I said, Rimuru is fine, just Rimuru. As you wish, Rimuru-sama. Daggerel and Glassert were speechless and just listened to the conversation between the Violet Primordial and Rimuru. She is named and has a body, thought both Daggerel and Glassert. They had several conflicts with the Violet Primordial in the past, and seeing her here, named and with a new master, was enough to even shock Daggerel. He quickly regained his composure and stood up from his seat to welcome his guests. Welcome, Demon Lord Rimuru and his companions. I apologize for the modest reception, but we didn't have a lot of time to prepare for it. No need to worry, King of the Giants, Daggerel. We are the ones who demanded a meeting on such a short notice. To not waste any time, I would say it's best if we start right away. Daggerel nodded and everyone took their place. Velgrin sat on the right side of Rimuru, while Milim was on the left side, and Gaia was sleeping in her lap. Ultima and Rain stood behind Rimuru. So, what brings you here today, Demon Lord Rimuru, or should I rather say Chaos Creator? Daggerel asked and started the conversation with that. Rimuru is fine, and as for why I am here, I have an offer. Offer? I want you to join the Demon Lords. Glassert was taken aback by this, but Daggerel remained calm, not showing any sign of unrest. He stood silent for 5 minutes, and intensively thought about the benefits and drawbacks of such a decision. I shall accept it. Huh? Really? No questions or anything? Rimuru asked, a bit perplexed by how fast Daggerel accepted. I thought about it and can only see benefits for myself. Although I can't leave that place that often because I have to guard the Heavenly Tower. Yeah, that's not a problem. We won't meet that often anyway. I have just one condition. What would that be? I want to remain the one to remain over this territory. Rimuru, who expected something important, let out a small chuckle. Of course, we can arrange that. We wouldn't just give your territory to another demon lord, don't worry. Daggerel was relieved hearing this, and the mood became cheerful. We have prepared a banquet for you. Would you like to stay or do you have to leave already? Daggerel asked. The banquet, Noda. Rimuru, please let us stay, please Noda. Milim, who was silent until now, begged Rimuru with sparkles in her eyes when she heard the word banquet. Velgrin buried her face in her hands, ashamed of the missing manners of her niece. And people go round telling me glutton when there is Milim around. Rimuru thought to himself. Alright, we can stay for a bit longer, I guess. But we have to leave afterward, we have other things to do. Rimuru said, smiling. Alright, let's change your location then, Daggerel said while standing up, and they left the meeting room. One down, now all we have to do is ask Luminous. Rimuru thought while following Daggerel to the banquet hall. Chapter 18. Education is important. After they finished the meeting, which fell rather short because of Daggerel's surprising cooperation, they changed the venue to enjoy the banquet prepared for them. The meals were surprisingly good, and everyone enjoyed it to its fullest, especially Milim and Gaia. Since Gaia's revival, they've grown even closer and, to Rimuru's surprise, are quite similar concerning their behavior. While Rimuru was lost in his thoughts and was happy to see his friend happy, he overheard an interesting conversation between Daggerel and Valgrand. Daggerel, I felt my little brother's presence here recently. I hope he didn't cause you any trouble. No, not at all. He comes along to spar with me from time to time, but I quite enjoy it. Daggerel said truthfully. But be careful, he is quite a problem child. I wouldn't want him to blow away your kingdom here. Daggerel hearing this let out a small chuckle which caused Valgrand to be confused. This was a serious warning, why would he laugh? Doesn't he take me seriously? Did I say something funny? Valgrand asked annoyed. No, not at all. It's just now I understand what Veldora meant. But I'll keep it in mind, thank you for the warning, Valgrand said. Valgrand's confusion grew more with Daggerel's answer. She wondered what Veldora would have told him. What do you mean by that? What did my little brother tell you? He told me about how strong his sisters are and how they can be ruthless. I knew Valgrand-san and Velzard-san would be strong, but to be strong enough to horrify Veldora, that's something. Under normal circumstances, Daggerel, the calm and serious man he is, wouldn't have uttered such words. But because of this banquet, he lowered his poison resistance and consequently got a little drunk. He didn't know he was leading his friend into his doom. What an interesting story. Are you sure he didn't talk about Velzard? I'm sure he couldn't have meant me, right? Rimuru, who saw where this was leading, paled. He had to intervene or his soon-to-be sworn friend would get educated soon. Velgrand-san, what do you think about? Not now, Rimuru. I'm having an interesting talk with Daggerel over here. So, Daggerel, your answer? She asked with a smile. To an onlooker, this smile looked bewitching, but to someone who knew Valgrand, it only meant despair. Alright, no, he said both were equally ruthless. But I respect that. If I had a son and if he would go around rampaging, I would also give him a proper beating. Good education is important. Daggerel said, still not knowing of the consequences this conversation would have for Veldora. I see. Rimuru, I think I will have to go and visit my brother once we're done with our little trip. Valgrand said, with a menacing smile. Alright Valgrand, Rimuru uttered and, deep inside, prayed for Veldora's safety. Thank you for the meal, it was delicious. But we have to go now, we have other matters to attend to. We will contact you concerning the meeting we will hold with the other demon lords, Rimuru said as he stood up. Everyone else followed suit and prepared for the departure. Alright, it was good to have you here, Demon Lord Rimuru. Daggerel said. No need for formalities, Rimuru is enough, we are both fellow demon lords now. And before I forget, thank you for saving our country. We saw you intervening and stopping a possible catastrophe, Glassard said with a bow. No need for that, I just helped a friend calm down, that's all to it. We'll be leaving now. And with that, Rimuru and his entourage made their way and left to visit Luminous Valentine. Brother, was it a good idea to tell Velgrand-sama about your conversations with Veldora-sama? Glassard asked. What do you do? When Daggerel realized what he exactly did, he was petrified. While it was late to do anything about it, he silently prayed for the safety of the storm dragon. Meanwhile, in the castle of the Vampire Queen, a certain paladin was mentally tortured. Since she was separated from Chloe, she became the plaything of a certain vampire who was known for her lust over cute girls. Hinata, despite at first being happy about having her body back, wished to crawl back into Chloe to take shelter. Luminous constantly made advances towards her or, what's even worse, turned her into a puppet and clothed her with various embarrassing clothing, and most of them were revealing enough that should anybody ever see her in them other than Chloe and Luminous, she would have to kill them personally. While she was in her room, reluctantly trying a revealing bunny costume, Luminous and Chloe were in the throne room, waiting for her to finish up. While Luminous couldn't wait to see her, Chloe felt bad for her friend, but was happy that she wouldn't be the one who has to wear stuff like that anymore. Why does it take so long? There is almost nothing to put on, Luminous said. Sigh Luminous, do you really have to torture her like that? What do you mean? She has to get used to it. We have so many years to live together, better she gets used to it quickly. Luminous retorted, which sent a shiver down Chloe's spine. Nearly 2000 years I feel bad for Hinata. Suddenly, Gunther barged in the throne room, much to dismay of Luminous who ordered them not to disturb her under any circumstances. Luminous-sama, we have an. Didn't I tell you that I will kill you if you dare to interrupt us, Gunther? Are you ready for your punishment? Luminous said, while emanating a menacing roar. Gunther was sweating under the pressure his queen was giving off and kneeled in front of her. To at least tell her the reason for barging in like that, he spoke out before receiving his punishment. My queen, the violet and blue primordials are here. Gunther shouted. The anger Luminous felt was replaced with confusion and fear. She could maybe take on one of the Primordials unless it is Guy Crimson, but two of them. Why are they here? Wasn't Blue serving Guy? Other than Rain, Guy and Misery, the other Primordials were fierce rivals. Why were two of them here? Gunther, realizing the pale face of his queen, decided to continue. They demand a meeting with you, my queen. A meeting? What do they want? They just said that they demand a meeting and didn't state the reason. Such insolence. Tell them to state their reason for coming here. If it piques my interest, maybe I'll talk to them. Luminous brushed it off and waved Gunther away. Isn't Rain under sensei now? Maybe he came to visit. But why does he want to meet Luminous? And Ultima? Did he already recruit her? Chloe thought to herself. Luminous, do you think it's a good id? Before Chloe could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by Luminous. I don't care. I don't have time for arrogant demons who barge in my territory without stating a reason. If they decide to cause a ruckus, we too can deal with them. Luminous answered. Chloe's anxiety grew as she heard the explanation of the vampire queen. No matter how caring and gentle Rimuru was, the primordials under him weren't. She knew that Gunther, who had to deliver such an answer, was in serious danger. Suddenly, the throne door blasted open with a huge explosion, and Gunther was sent flying. He landed before Luminous and was seriously injured. Luminous took her battle stance and drew her sword, while Chloe let out a sigh as she already knew this would happen. From the destroyed door, two figures emerged. They were emitting a deadly aura, and Luminous felt a shiver run down her spine when she saw the Rain and Ultima enter the throne room. Rain, it looks like we have to teach this blood-sucking leech, who dares to deny our lord's request, a good lesson, don't you think? Rain didn't answer immediately, but simply stared at the vampire queen, who readied herself for a fight. As much as I hate it, you're right. As Velgrin Sama and Daggeril Sama said, education is important. Ultima, hearing this, grew a menacing smile and faced the vampire queen. Let's play a little, shall we? Chapter 19. Preventing a disaster. While Rain and Ultima left to demand an audience from the vampire queen, Rimuru, Velgrand, Milim, and Gaia were a short distance away from Night Garden, waiting for them to return. Unlike last time, Rimuru was restless and had for some reason a bad premonition. Velgrand, Milim, and Gaia, on the other hand, didn't seem to be bothered at all. Do you think we should go and check on them? I have a bad feeling about this. Rain alone wouldn't be a problem, but Ultima joining her could cause some issues. Rimuru voiced his concerns. You're panicking over nothing, Rimuru. Relax and wait for them. Although I don't like them, Rain and Ultima aren't stupid. But if they start a fight or something, it means that vampire messed it up. Velgrand answered. But if they start a fight in there, that's going to cause us a lot of problems, you know. Why? We just have to kill them, don't we? You even, as much as it hurts, played with me. I'm sure those leeches won't be a problem at all. Velgrand answered, again without any concern. Wahaha, Auntie is right, bestie. If they dare to fight us, we are going to eradicate them, Noda. Milim joyfully added, which only raised Rimuru's concerns and didn't ease him a bit. The two Simi showing up there right now would only cause problems anyway. I'm just going to trust them on this. Rimuru dejectedly added. I wonder if I should have just sent Rain. Hinata and Chloe are also there. I'm sure Chloe understands why they are there and calms Luminous down if Luminous gets angry. But knowing Luminous, what if she insults me or something in front of the two? No, let's not think about that. Everything is going to be fine. I'm just overthinking things, probably. Master, there is. I know, Ciel, there's nothing to worry about, right? They wouldn't start a fight there. No matter, there's actually a small chance of that happening. Yes, but no need to be pessimistic, right? Master. Oh, I'm sorry, Ciel, after spending so many years together, I just know exactly what you're going to say with you just starting the sentence. Don't be upset about it. It just shows how good we know each other. Suddenly, a big explosion was heard and flames towered over Night Garden. Everyone jumped up, startled by the noise. What is happening there? Velgrand asked. Are we going to fight, Noda? Milim asked. For some reason, she looked really happy about it, and Gaia also seemed to share her enthusiasm. Ciel, what is going on? Master, I tried to warn you, but you kept interrupting me. Rain and Ultima are currently in a fight against Luminous Valentine. Chloe meanwhile is trying to calm down the two demons. I fucked up. So, that's what she was trying to say. Velgrand, Milim, Gaia. Let's go before the two blow up the entire place. Rimuru shouted and flew towards the castle with the others following him closely. Rain-san, Ultima-san, please calm down. She didn't mean to insult Rimuru-sensei. She didn't even know it was Rimuru-sensei who sent you. Chloe shouted, trying to calm down the two demons who were ready to kill Luminous. Luminous on the other hand had cuts all over her body, but nonetheless had her sword pointed at Ultima and Rain. But after hearing the name Ultima, she knew something was wrong. She knew that the blue primordial had a name, but there is no way the violet primordial also received. But what shocked her even more was that Chloe wasn't fighting. Since their fight began, all she did was trying to calm the two demons down. Luminous knew that Chloe could probably best the two demons in front of her, but despite that, she didn't fight. So she really loves him more than me. As if we would allow some lowly vampire to insult our master and get away with it. Don't stay in our way, Ultima simply said. This time, no shred of cuteness was shown in her face. That's right. As if we would ouch. Suddenly, both Ultima and Rain held their heads in pain. The reason for that being the chops they received on their heads by no other than Rimuru himself. Seriously, I send you guys out for 20 minutes and you nearly start a war. Go to that corner and reflect on your actions. Rimuru said and pointed to a corner of the throne room. Ultima and Rain both sulked and went to the corner to receive their punishment and started to think about what they did wrong. Why is Rimuru-sama mad at us? Is it because we didn't finish her off quick enough? Ultima asked Rain. Rain, who started to tear up, didn't answer. Or is it maybe because he wanted to do it himself and we nearly killed her before he could do it? This time, Rain looked up and shook her head. She started to cry and tried to answer Ultima's question. I think it is because we fought D despite our Rimuru-sama, as saying, we as shouldn't she uttered. Ultima looked in horror after hearing this, realizing the mistake they made. While the two were reflecting, Rimuru had already finished repairing the damage caused by his two subordinates. Luminous, who for the first time saw Rimuru, blushed after seeing him, before realizing who he was. She then turned red in anger and glares at him. Before she could open her mouth however she was interrupted by Chloe. Sensei. You really came. Chloe shouted in joy and jumped at Rimuru and gave him a hug. Of course I did promise, didn't I? The two of them smiled and Rimuru returned the hug. After separating, he turned to Luminous who still glared at him and looked furious. You must be Luminous Valentine, I guess. I'm Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest. Pleased to meet you. I'm sorry for the trouble caused by my subordinates. They're already reflecting on their mistakes, it shouldn't happen again, I guess. Luminous, after hearing this, got even angrier and finally opened her mouth. I don't care who you are. You dare to come in here and act like nothing happened. First you steal Chloe from me, and then you send these two crazy demons who attacked me. And you think after all of this, you can just apologize and everything is alright. Are your demon lords really that stupid and ignorant? She shouted, without thinking twice about what she just said. The throne room immediately was filled with killing intent released from multiple people who were ready to kill the vampire on the spot. They were leaked by two particular persons, made it hard to breathe for everyone except for Rimuru. These were none other than Velgrand and Milm. Rain and Ultima were also among these people, but they couldn't move because they were in the timeout corner. What did you just call my bestie? Milm angrily asked Luminous who just realized her mistake. Gaia also looked angry, but because of his size he rather seemed cute. Velgrand on the other hand didn't say anything, but simply glared at Luminous. Between all of them, Rimuru was again at loss of words, and didn't know what to do to calm everyone down, when Chloe suddenly appeared behind Luminous and chopped her on the head. Ouch. What was that for Chloe? You really ask? You really don't know who these people are, don't you? If these people were to attack you right now, even I couldn't save you. Do you really want the vampires to be erased or what? Think twice about what you say before you speak. This time it was Luminous who had tears in her eyes, but for some reason she seemed happy, even if a little. Luminous is really a masochist, isn't she? Rimuru thought to himself. The reason Chloe did this had two reasons. The first one being what she said. The second reason however was because of something she never wanted to face again. After what Luminous said, Rimuru's eyes turned red for a brief moment, and Chloe, who exactly knew what this meant, stepped in to save everyone in this room. She still remembers what happened on their first encounter. Now, calm down everyone. Everyone is tensed up, let's calm down and talk about it, right? Rimuru said and looked at Luminous, who seemed relieved after hearing this. Why yes. I apologize for what I said. Let's sit down and have the talk you came here for. Rimuru nodded, happy that they could come to an agreement, and everybody else also calmed down after hearing this. But just as they were about to head to the meeting room, they were interrupted by a bunny with a sword in her hand, ready for a fight. Luminous-sama. I felt a huge energy. Is there a... But before the bunny could finish what she wanted to say, her eyes fell on the other people present in the room. With every new face she saw, her face grew redder, and when she spotted Rimuru, who had a blush on his face, his eyes widened by surprise, she turned red as a tomato before running out of the throne room. Everyone present was speechless and had to process what just happened. I think I can die in peace now were Rimuru's honest thoughts, after seeing Hinata's storm off. Chapter 20. Hell for Bunny-chan. With Hinata's appearance in her new costume, the threat of a new commotion occurred. Luminous was on the edge of storming off to follow Hinata, but decided, for her good, against it, because of the hostile glazes from Rimuru's attendants. When everybody finally calmed down, they changed locations to where the talks would take place. Hinata was also present, although still beat red in the face. Few had also noticed the face Rimuru made when seeing Hinata in the bunny outfit, and two people, one of them being Rain, took notes of it for the future. Hinata, realizing the stares she got, turned her head away in embarrassment and hoped inwardly for this whole thing to end, so that she could lock herself up in her room. To her rescue came Luminous Valentine, who spoke up to start the meeting. So, I don't have much time, tell me what you came here for. She rather demanded than asking, in her usual arrogant demeanor, not realizing that it upset a lot of people. How dare you talk to? Calm down, Rain, no need to get upset. Rimuru interrupted her before she could finish. After Rain sat down again, he continued. You see, Luminous Valentine here isn't the way she's acting right now. She is trying her best to look intimidating. I mean, there are 2 primordial demons, 2 demon lords, 1 dragon, and a true dragon in front of her. Of course, she has to act like that in front of us in her territory. Right, Luminous-chan, Rimuru said and finished his sentence in a tone that was typical for Luminous. Luminous jumped up from her chair, her face red out of anger and embarrassment, but she was again interrupted by Rain. I see. So she has seen the greatness of Rimuru-sama, and is trying to act benevolently in front of him. What an insight, as expected of Rimuru-sama. Ultima also had a bright expression on her face. Meanwhile, Velgrin deadpanned at the argument between Rain and Milum. Well, she wasn't even listening to the whole conversation. She was too occupied with eating the honey she had received from Rimuru. Luminous turned even redder and was close to bursting up. Chloe, who was silent the whole time, decided to speak up. Sensei, stop teasing Luminous. And Luminous, calm down. It's not like you to lose yourself over things like that. She scolded both Rimuru and Luminous. Rimuru in response let out a small chuckle while Luminous calmed down. To be scolded by Chloe, what a bliss were her thoughts which she managed to hide behind a poker face. Alright, we also don't have that much time to spare. I make it quick. I came here to invite you to join the Demon Lords. Lumina's eyes whitened for a split second, but she managed to get a hold of herself. She didn't accept such an offer at all. She knew about Guy Crimson and interacted with him before, even though shortly, and saw that her strength was irrelevant in front of him. Furthermore, she has also heard reports about Milum's recent rampage. And they wanted her to join. She asked herself if there were any motives she couldn't see right now behind this offer. What reason do I have to join your group? Let's see. Although we Demon Lords aren't best of friends, we still support each other when one is in need. You could also expect support in case of an emergency. The offer didn't sound bad, but Luminous still couldn't see why they would want her to join. She could barely hold herself against the Primordials under Rimuru's command, and she should become a Demon Lord. What do you gain from me joining the Demon Lords? Luminous asked, still skeptical. Me? Nothing really, just a new fellow Demon Lord. Rimuru answered. Is it even up to you to decide who is going to join the Demon Lords? Isn't Guy Crimson the leader of the Demon Lords? Oh, good question. Well, not anymore. We decided that I'd recruit some new Demon Lords. And one of them is you. Rimuru said, with a smile on his face. One of them? Who are the others? Well, it's just one at this point. Dagrul already decided to join us. Rimuru said, with a mischievous grin on his face. He finally played his trump card. He knew how much Luminous hated Dagrul, and was sure that she would join after hearing this. That was the main reason why she joined in the original timeline too. And to no surprise, Luminous' reaction was exactly as Rimuru expected it to be. That damn musclehead is joining. I accept, I will become a Demon Lord or whatever. She shouted. I knew Dagrul was the reason, but does she hate him that much? They made up after his revival, but nevertheless, I didn't know it was this bad. Rimuru thought. This meeting seems like a success, Velgrin said, indifferently. Yes, with that over, we now have 2 new Demon Lords, Rimuru said. New Demon Lords Noda. Who is it Noda? Milum asked, surprised. Everyone sighed out loud at her carefree attitude. We're going to talk about it later, Milum. But, later, Rimuru said. Milum sulked and continued to lick off the honey from her fingers. Before I forget, there is another thing I wanted to say. Chloe and Bunny, I mean Hinata, do you 2 want to come with me? I can train you for a while. Especially Hinata. You're not strong enough right now and could use some training. Hinata glared at Rimuru, mostly because of the slip of his tongue, but before she could refuse, Chloe already butted in. We accept, sensei. I can't wait to train with you. She said gleefully. What do you mean to train? We have capable people to train Hinata, I should be plenty enough. Luminous hissed, detecting that her precious friends would leave her side. Luminous, sensei is strong, there's no one better than him to train us. I bet that he was also the reason for the earthquake days ago. Luminous and Hinata deadpanned at this until they saw the faces of everyone else. They looked proud and smug for a reason. Especially Rain and Valgrant. Don't tell me, Luminous stuttered. Indeed, Chloe-san, the earthquake was caused by Rimuru-sama knocking out Guy-sama after he kicked him to the ground. Rain said before Rimuru could tell her to shut up. Lumina's pale skin turned visibly paler, and she had a look of disbelief on her face. Hinata had already witnessed Ciel's wrath and knew what he was capable of, but was shocked nevertheless. I guess that was it. Anyway, Chloe and Hinata, I take it as a yes then. Rimuru laughed it off and asked. Yes, sensei, we accept. Why does nobody ask for my opinion? Hinata silently said, defeated. Alright, seems like we finished here. We have to return now. I bet Guy is already curious about how everything turned out. I will inform you in the next few days when we are going to meet Luminous. Rimuru said and stood up. Sensei, I have to pack my lug. Don't worry, you don't need anything. I have everything necessary for you too. Just hurry up and come along. Chloe and Hinata looked curious, but decided not to ask further questions. Alright, Luminous-chan, see you later, Rimuru said, and teleported them out of there. Are we going somewhere else, Sensei? Chloe asked. The reason for that was their current location. They weren't in the frozen continent, but just a few kilometers away from Luminous Castle. Rimuru gulped and looked nervous for a reason. Chloe and Hinata, your training will start now. I need you two to go to my imaginary space. Imaginary space? Why? Aren't you going to train us? Hinata asked and was skeptical about it. Aren't you coming with us, Sensei? I thought you will train us. Chloe asked. Will. I will. I will come after I've settled things with G-Guy. Rimuru said, clearly sweating. Alright, I'll be waiting, Sensei. Let's go, Hinata. Hinata didn't believe Rimuru a bit. He looked far too suspicious. But before she could retort, Rimuru sent them to his imaginary space. But before that, she could clearly hear Rimuru sing, I'll pray for you, but didn't know why. Ciel, are you sure this is a good idea? Fufufu, no need to worry, master. I will thoroughly train Chloe and the little bunny. So don't overdo it, alright. Rimuru had a bad premonition about this whole thing, but didn't dare to say anything. He made a deal with Ciel, and this sacrifice was worth the prize. I believe in you, Chloe and Hinata. He spoke his prayer in his mind, and teleported the rest of them to the Palace of White Ice. Meanwhile, is this his imaginary space? I don't see its end. Chloe said, amazed by everything she saw. The more I learn about him, the more ridiculous he becomes. Hinata simply muttered, but still amazed by the view in front of them. But suddenly, a cold voice echoed and Rimuru, no, a similar figure with red eyes appeared in front of them. When they realized who this was, Hinata's face grew pale in horror. Fufufu, Chloe and Bunny-chan, welcome to our first training session. Let's see if you're worthy. Ciel said. Hinata simply wished to return to Luminous' side, even if it meant trying out her ridiculous outfits. But that was wishful thinking right now as their nightmarish training with Ciel started.